The stuff people are saying about Arch Manning on Twitter is nasty, and I guarantee you this, if Arch Manning would have went to their favorite school, they wouldn't have that same energy. So last week, Texas had this spring game. It was awesome. Quinn Ewers, he balled out. Malik Murphy, the other backup quarterback, he played amazing. Quinn Ewers, long story short, was announced as starting quarterback. Like I said, we talked all about it. I made a 12-minute video talking about the situation. Steve Sarkisian, he came out and said, Quinn Ewers, he's our guy and we're ready to go. And I thought that's all there was to it. I really did. But there was some more stuff going on behind the scenes that I guess I just missed. And that stuff I'm talking about is all the backlash and criticism that Arch Manning received. And I'm just now seeing it, and he is still getting a ton of criticism for how he played in that game. People are definitely letting Arch Manning hear about how poorly he played, especially on Twitter. They're not holding back a single bit, and we're going to talk about it. Does he deserve all this criticism, or is it a little bit too much? Also in tonight's video, ESPN has just released their 4 most likely teams to make the college football playoff, and you're not going to believe who made the list. Trust me when I say this, there's no way you could have predicted this. And we also got 2 other topics to go along with it. I know we got 4 total topics. It's going to be a jam-packed video. Including in those 2 topics, we got to speak on how Miami's quarterback. Remember, yesterday it was being rumored that he's going to go to Alabama. We got a new update. It's going to be a jam-packed video. You know how the intro goes. If you like college football content, consider joining our community. Just want to say this. Major shout out to everyone that has recently joined or you've been a part of our community. You've been subscribed for a long time. Really does mean a lot. All right, Matt, blah, blah, blah. Should have grabbed up now without further ado. Let's get into it. Okay, first things first, I'm going to plug this. Go follow my Twitter. If there's ever stuff going on behind the scenes for the channel with videos, ideas, anything like that, I normally tweet it out. I try to tweet every now and then about college football. Right now, we're in the off season, so there's not much to say, but during the season, pretty active. It's another good way we can interact, and a lot of the video ideas and questions I get on Twitter, I talk about them in the video. So follow me on there if you want to stay in the loop on things, stay updated. Getting that out the way, moving along here to our first topic. I saw this on Twitter today, and I thought it was really fascinating. Somebody on Twitter that goes by the name of SEC Mike, he released his SEC home field advantage list. I'm not going to talk about this too long, but here's what I am going to say. Alabama at 2 is ridiculous, and this is coming from a Bama fan myself. I've been to a ton of Alabama football games, and we do not have that great of a home field advantage. I'm just being honest. Most Bama fans won't admit it, but I will. And I'll tell you this much. Alabama's home field advantage doesn't even compare to LSU's home field advantage. It's not even close. LSU should be number 1 on this list. And matter of fact, I will say this much. Alabama shouldn't even be in the top 5. We should be at 6. But you know who should be in the top 5 on this list? Auburn. For this reason alone. There is something in the air in Jordan Hare. I didn't mean to rhyme that. I didn't mean it to be corny, but it is what it is. I'm telling you, there's something in that stadium. There's magic. For some odd reason, it is hard to play there. It's not the biggest stadium in the world, but it's hard to play there. They do have a big home field advantage. I'd say it's bigger than Bama. And also another problem I have with this is Ole Miss at 13? Are we serious? I don't know about putting Ole Miss behind Kentucky and Missouri. I don't know about that. I would love to talk about this much more, but we got to get a move on. Here's my top 5 if you are curious. At number 1, duh, obvious, I'd put LSU. At number 2, I'd put Tennessee. I've been to a Tennessee game. They don't play up in Rocky Top Neyland Stadium. At number 3, I'd put Auburn. Yeah, I'd put Auburn there. At number 4, I would put... I'll put Georgia, and I guess I will sneak Alabama in there at number 5. And I already know Bama fans aren't going to be happy with me putting Alabama at 5, and you're going to say, and I'll show you some numbers, where Alabama is 66-2 at home, and blah, 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 blah. Well, dude, that's just because Alabama has the best football team over the past 10 years. Believe me when I say this, I could talk about this topic for 15 minutes, but we got to get a move on, I'm sorry. Moving along here to our second topic. Yesterday we talked about how out of nowhere, out of thin air, rumors started circling that, not Alabama, my bad, Miami starting quarterback Tyler Van Dyke, he was going to enter the portal and go to Alabama. I told you guys yesterday, I didn't believe it for a single second. I said there's a 0% chance of this happening. It doesn't make sense. Alabama doesn't even want him, even if he wanted to go there. And well, what do you know? We got an update. Today the news came out that Mario Cristobal in Miami, they're not letting him leave and he's staying. I wish I could sit up here and say, hey guys, big news. I'm shocked about this. I can't believe he's not going to Bama, but I told you yesterday it wasn't going to happen. And it goes back to this. Much respect to him. I do respect him. But he's not good enough to go to Bama. And even if he was good enough, Alabama doesn't even want him. Alabama has too many quarterbacks on the roster at this moment as it is. I don't know how these rumors came up in the first place. I also don't know how it gained the traction that it did, but I'm glad they've been put to rest. Let's get a move on though. Moving along here to our third and final topic before we get into the main encore, the main topic. check out ESPN's top 4 teams, most likely teams to make the playoff. Your first 2, obviously, you got good old Alabama and Georgia. No surprise there whatsoever. I don't think anybody in the comments is going to be too upset about that. But check out teams 3 and 4. The Ohio State. I don't think anybody's going to complain about that. But then, you see it. Texas? Making the playoffs? I'm sorry, man. I can't. ESPN. What are we doing, man? What are we doing? I mean, I don't know who you'd put in there at number 4. I'm sure there was a conversation and debate, but you couldn't have found another team than Texas? And I'm sorry, Texas fans. I actually enjoyed the Texas fan base. I think they're very passionate. They're great, similar to Oklahoma fans, but this is a little too much. Bro, the comment section is great. Somebody said, I'd like to see Texas play and win more than 8 games before putting them in the college football playoff field. I agree. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be serious. I'm trying to lock in, but I can't take this serious. Okay. Deep breath, man. Deep breath. Let's lock in here. On a serious note, who would you put in there outside of Texas? I could think of many other teams I'd put in there over Texas. LSU, Michigan. Heck, I might throw Penn State in there over Texas. What's another team? Oh, yeah, maybe a team that's already better than them. Tennessee. Who else am I missing? I'm not the biggest fan of USC, but at this current moment, I think USC's a little bit better than Texas. Look, I'll say this. I don't know exactly right now who I'd put in there at number 4, but I can promise you and guarantee you this. Texas, I'm not even considering them. I'm not even considering them. Not a chance. Just like that comment said, y'all worry about winning 10 games, and then we'll talk. That was the craziest thing I've seen today, and well, what do you know? It leads us into our next topic perfectly. Moving along here to the main topic, the main reason you clicked onto this video. Let's talk about what's also going on at Texas with good old Arch Manning. Oh man, no introduction needed. You know Arch Manning, you know the backstory, blah, 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 blah. He's been hyped up his entire life, and a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, well, he's a good quarterback, but he's not as great as everyone's trying to make him out to seem. He's overhyped. I've told you guys this for over a year now. The number 1 quarterback in Arch Manning's class, it wasn't Arch Manning, it was Nico Imoleva, who's currently at Tennessee. I've been trying to tell people that. I think Arch Manning is a solid quarterback, but he wasn't the best in his class. The best quarterback in his current class resides up in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm not here to get into that whole debate. We're here to talk about what's currently going on with Arch. And that is, in the spring game, I told you guys this a couple days ago, yeah, he didn't play that good. And that's all I said about it because I'm not overhyping this. I'm not making it a big deal because it shouldn't be a big deal. We're talking about a kid who currently at this moment in time is supposed to be in high school. So no, I'm not going to overreact to him not playing like freaking Tom Brady in a Texas spring game. I'm not going to do it. Now let me make this astronomically clear. If Arch Manning would have went out there and he would have gone 20 for 22 with 275 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, oh yeah, we'd be having a completely different conversation and we would be overreacting. But that's my point. The only way I would overreact to a situation is if he would have played like Tom Brady. I'll show you the numbers once again. Arch Manning, he was the worst quarterback out of the bunch. He went 5 for 13, which is terrible, and he only had 30 yards. The passes he did complete, they were simple passes that even me and you can complete. He looked skittish. He looked nervous. He looked like every true freshman quarterback out there. So why didn't I talk about this more at the time than I did? Because I expected this performance. I expected him to look like a true freshman. I expected him to look rough around the edges. And he did. But on Twitter, people are posting the highlights from that spring game, and Arch Manning is getting absolutely flamed. And just like this tweet says right here, got over 2,000 likes. He is the most overrated football player of any level. And here we go. Somebody tweeted out, got over 1,000 likes. Genuinely don't think Arch Manning would play a single down in Alabama. That was the real controversial tweet, but just like this response says, this is exactly what I'm harping on. I don't have an opinion on how it will turn out for Texas, but a freshman looking bad in a spring game isn't exactly earth-shattering news and definitely doesn't mean he won't end up being a good quarterback. Is that not what I've been saying this entire video? And here's another comment. Let me give you a hot take. Arch Manning is overrated. He considered a dude because of his name and that's all. He played at a 2A high school and got his blank beat in their last game. His throwing motion looks like a broke boy. I said what I said. He's only right about one thing in that comment. Yeah, he didn't play the greatest high school competition, but a lot of people don't. I'm not going to hold him playing bums against him. If you actually know what you're talking about, you know Arch Manning, he's a good quarterback prospect. But here's the thing. In 2023, for some odd reason, there is this narrative going around that a true freshman should come in and dominate from the start. I think people fail to realize, yeah, that may happen at the cornerback, running back, safety, linebacker, any other position, but very rarely, if ever, does it happen at the quarterback position. We see it every now and then at all the other positions, but maybe once in 10 years does a true freshman come into a program like Texas and straight up perform like he's Bryce Young. The last true freshman to actually live up to the hype was Trevor Lawrence. Outside of that, you can't even name me 5 examples of a true freshman dominating. And by the way, I'm talking about at a big-time school. I'm not talking about at Chattanooga State Water Aquarium Community College. I'm not talking about Boise State, Coastal Carolina. I'm talking about a championship caliber school. So to everyone out there that's on Twitter trying to beat this young kid down because he didn't play so well in the spring game, I think you're weird, and I think you're a loser. The stuff people are saying about Arch Manning on Twitter is nasty, and I guarantee you this, if Arch Manning would have went to their favorite school, they wouldn't have that same energy. Let's just say, for example, I'm a Georgia fan, and Arch Manning didn't play well in the Georgia spring game. You know what all these Georgia fans would have been saying? Oh yeah, he's a true freshman, just give him time. The only people actually criticizing him and writing all these hateful comments are people that aren't Texas fans. They're jealous. Just admit it. You're just jealous Arch Manning didn't choose your school. That's all it is, at least in my humble opinion. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not worried about Arch Manning. He'll be just fine. Let me know your thoughts down below, but right with it.